My 10-year-old daughter came home crying, and when I asked why, she said, "Daddy's new wife says I'm not family anymore. She says Madison gets everything now." I stayed calm. 3 weeks later, Victoria opened a letter from a lawyer and went completely pale. It was a Tuesday when everything started falling apart. Not Monday, because Mondays are already disasters. Tuesday sneaks up on you, makes you think you're safe, then pulls the rug out. I was grading papers at the kitchen table, drowning in red ink and creative spelling, when Lily walked through the door. Early. She wasn't supposed to be home for another 2 hours. Marcus always kept her until 6 p.m. on his custody days. She stood in the doorway, backpack hanging off one shoulder, eyes red and swollen. My pen stopped mid-correction. "Sweetheart, what happened?" "Daddy brought me home early." Her voice was small and cracked, the way glass sounds right before it shatters. "Why?" I was already moving toward her. She dropped her backpack. It hit the floor with a thud that sounded too heavy. "Victoria says I can't come over anymore unless it's my official days. She says I'm confusing Madison." I knelt down in front of her, trying to keep my face neutral even though something dark and furious was already crawling up my spine. Confusing her how? She says Madison doesn't understand why Daddy loves me more than her. Lily's lip trembled. Victoria told Daddy that I make Madison feel like she's not really his daughter. I pulled her into a hug, feeling her shake against me. Over her shoulder, I stared at the wall and counted to 10 in 3 different languages. It's a trick I learned in therapy after the divorce. Gives your rage time to turn into something you can actually use. "Did Daddy say anything?" I asked carefully. She nodded into my shoulder. "He said Victoria's right. That I need to be more sensitive. That Madison's had a hard life and I should try to make her feel included." Of course he did. Marcus had always been good at taking the path of least resistance. It's how he ended up married to Victoria in the first place, 6 months after our divorce was finalized. Like he couldn't stand being alone long enough to think about what went wrong. I pulled back, wiped her tears with my thumb. "You didn't do anything wrong." "Then why does she hate me?" "Because some people need someone to hate," I thought. Out loud, I said, "She doesn't hate you. She's just insecure." It was a lie. Victoria absolutely hated Lily. I'd known it from the first time we met, at Marcus's sterile designer wedding where everything was white and gold and carefully curated for Instagram. Victoria had smiled at Lily with her mouth but not her eyes. The kind of smile that makes you check your back for knives. That night, Lily fell asleep on the couch while we watched a movie neither of us was paying attention to. I carried her to bed, tucked her in with the blanket her grandmother, Marcus's mother, had made her before she died. Lily used to sleep with it every night. Now it lived at the foot of her bed, a ghost of better times. I stood in her doorway for a long time, watching her breathe, thinking about how fast things had changed. 2 years ago, Marcus and I were still married. Unhappy but married. He was a corporate lawyer who worked 80-hour weeks and measured his worth in billable hours. I was a high school English teacher who believed books could save people. We didn't have much in common except Lily, and eventually even that wasn't enough. The divorce was civil. Boring even. We split custody 50-50, divided assets without drama, signed papers like we were closing on a house instead of dismantling a life. What broke me wasn't the divorce. It was watching him move on so fast. Like our entire marriage had been something he could just delete and write over. Victoria was everything I wasn't. Polished, wealthy, thin in that expensive way that requires both money and obsession. She had a daughter from her first marriage, Madison, 9 years old, with her mother's sharp features and sharper instincts. From the beginning, Victoria made it clear her family came first. Marcus came second. Lily came nowhere. At first it was subtle. Canceled plans, shortened visits. Marcus always had an excuse. Work emergency, Madison had a recital, Victoria wasn't feeling well. Then it got worse. 3 months ago, Marcus stopped calling Lily every night. He used to call at 8 p.m. sharp, read her a chapter from whatever book they were working through. It was their thing. But after the wedding, the calls became sporadic. then weekly. Then nothing. When Lily asked why, he said he was busy. That she was getting older and didn't need bedtime stories anymore. She cried herself to sleep that night. 2 months ago, I showed up to pick Lily up from Marcus's house and found her sitting on the porch, alone. Inside, I could hear laughter, Victoria's high, performative laugh, Madison's giggles, Marcus's deep voice saying something I couldn't make out. Lily looked up at me with eyes that had already learned too much about not being wanted. "They're having family game night," she said. "Victoria said it's just for their family." I wanted to storm inside and drag Marcus out by his expensive tie. Instead, I took Lily for ice cream and pretended my hands weren't shaking. I should have fought harder then. Should have called my lawyer, documented everything, filed for a custody modification. But I kept thinking it would get better. That Marcus would wake up and remember he had a daughter who needed him. I was wrong. 1 week ago, Marcus died. Car accident. Quick, they said. Like that made it better. I got the call at school. The principal found me in the teacher's lounge and said there'd been an accident. Victoria was already at the hospital. I needed to come now. By the time I got there, he was already gone. Victoria stood in the hallway, Madison clinging to her waist, looking like she'd stepped out of a grief catalog. Perfectly smudged mascara, black dress that probably cost more than my monthly rent. She looked at me and said, "He asked for Lily." At the end, it was a lie. I knew it immediately. Marcus had died on impact. But she said it anyway, claimed that last moment, made sure I knew she'd been there and I hadn't. I didn't correct her. I just asked where Lily was. "Oh!" Victoria blinked like she'd forgotten. I didn't think to call her. This is family business. Family business. Like Lily wasn't his daughter. Like 10 years of his life could just be erased because he'd married someone new. I called my mother, who picked up Lily from school. That night, I held my daughter while she sobbed, and I made a promise to myself. I would protect her from Victoria's poison, no matter what it took. The funeral was 3 days later. Closed casket, white roses, a eulogy that made Marcus sound like a character from a motivational poster instead of an actual human being. Victoria sat in the front row, Madison next to her, both dressed in matching black dresses. Lily and I sat 3 rows back. When I tried to move closer, an usher, hired by Victoria, told me those seats were reserved for immediate family. I didn't make a scene. I sat down, held Lily's hand, and watched Victoria perform her widowhood for an audience of Marcus's colleagues and friends who barely knew him. After the service, as people filtered out, Victoria approached me. Madison hung back, watching with curious, calculating eyes. "We need to discuss Lily's situation," Victoria said. Situation. Like my daughter was a problem to be solved. "What situation?" I kept my voice level. "Well, Marcus is gone. And while I understand you'll want to maintain a relationship with Madison's stepfather's memory, I think it's best if we establish boundaries." I stared at her. Boundaries. Madison is going through an incredibly difficult time. She doesn't need constant reminders that Marcus had a previous family. Previous family. Each word landed like a slap. "Lily is his daughter," I said slowly. "Of course." Victoria smiled, the kind of smile that doesn't reach anywhere important. "But she has you. Madison only had Marcus. It's different." Before I could respond, an older man in an expensive suit approached. "Mrs. Chen?" He was looking at me. "Ms." I corrected. I went back to my maiden name. "Of course. I'm Robert Sinclair, Marcus's attorney. I handled his parents' estate as well. Could we speak privately?" Victoria's smile tightened. "Anything regarding Marcus's affairs should go through me. I'm his widow." "This concerns Lily specifically," Robert said, polite but firm. "It's regarding her grandparents' trust. I'd forgotten about that. Marcus's parents had died 5 years ago. His mother from cancer, his father 6 months later from what everyone politely called a broken heart. They'd adored Lily. His mother used to say Lily had saved her son, given him a reason to be human instead of just successful. Victoria's expression shifted, something calculating sliding behind her eyes. I'm sure whatever it is can wait. We're all grieving. It's already waited long enough, Robert said. He turned to me. My office. Tomorrow morning, if possible? I nodded. Victoria watched us, her smile gone, replaced by something colder and much more dangerous. That night, Lily asked me if she'd ever see Madison again. I don't know. Sweetheart, I miss her sometimes, Lily said quietly, even though she was mean. I thought maybe we could be friends. Maybe someday. But I didn't believe it. Victoria would never allow it. And I was right. Robert's office was downtown, tucked between glass towers and important-looking buildings. His secretary offered me coffee I was too nervous to drink. When Robert finally called me in, he didn't waste time. Marcus's parents established a trust for Lily when she was born, he said, sliding a folder across the desk. $2 million to be held until she turns 25, with distributions for education and healthcare starting immediately. I blinked. $2 million? They were quite wealthy, and they wanted to make sure Lily was taken care of, regardless of what happened with Marcus's career or marriage. Does Victoria know? Marcus knew. Whether he told Victoria, I can't say. Robert leaned back. The trust is ironclad. Victoria has no claim to it, but there's more. He pulled out another document. Marcus's parents also established a provision. If Marcus died before Lily turned 18, and if his current spouse attempted to interfere with Lily's relationship with her father's family, or access to her inheritance, the trust would expand to include their house. I don't understand. The house Marcus and Victoria lived in, was purchased with money from Marcus's parents. They structured it so that if certain conditions were met, ownership would transfer to Lily's trust. My head spun. What conditions? Documented evidence of alienation or abuse. Attempts to exclude Lily from family events or inheritance. Blocking access to her father's memory or possessions. He looked at me steadily. Have any of those things happened? I thought about Lily sitting on the porch during game night. Being brought home early because she confused Madison. Being told she wasn't immediate family at her own father's funeral. Yes, I said. All of them, Robert nodded. Then you need to document everything. Write it down, dates and details. Get statements from anyone who witnessed it. I'll start the process, but we'll need evidence. Victoria won't give up that house without a fight. Probably not. Robert's expression was grim. But Marcus's parents were very specific. They knew their son was weak when it came to women. They wanted to make sure Lily was protected. I left his office with the folder, my hands shaking, my mind racing. $2 million. A house. Protection I didn't know existed. For the first time since Marcus died, I felt something other than grief and rage. I felt hope. That night, I started writing everything down. Every canceled visit, every cruel comment, every time Lily had been made to feel like she didn't matter. The list grew longer than I expected. When I was done, I sat back and looked at the pages filled with my handwriting, evidence of systematic exclusion and cruelty. Then I called Robert and told him I was ready. The next morning, Victoria received the letter. I wasn't there, but Robert told me later. He'd hand-delivered it himself, wanted to see her reaction. She'd opened the door in yoga pants and a designer t-shirt, Madison somewhere in the house behind her. She'd looked annoyed until she saw the law firm's letterhead, then she'd gone pale. The letter explained everything. The trust, the conditions, the evidence we'd gathered. It informed her that ownership of the house was being transferred to Lily's trust effective immediately, and that she had 30 days to vacate. She'd called Marcus's phone, disconnected now, then her own lawyer. It didn't matter. Robert had been doing this for 30 years. Everything was airtight. Victoria tried to fight anyway. She claimed the trust was invalid, that Marcus's parents had been senile, that I'd manipulated the situation. Every claim was dismissed. She hired a second lawyer. Then a third. It didn't matter. The law was clear, and Marcus's parents had been very, very thorough. The deadline came. I stood across the street from the house, my daughter's house now. and watched movers load Victoria's belongings into a truck. She screamed at them, at her lawyer on speakerphone, at Madison, who cried dramatically on the front lawn. I didn't feel victorious, just tired. When the truck finally pulled away, Victoria stood on the sidewalk, staring at the house like she could will it back into her possession. Then she saw me. She crossed the street, heels clicking against pavement, fury radiating off her like heat. "You poisoned him against us," she hissed. "You manipulated his parents. I protected my daughter," I said quietly. "Something you never understood. She took everything from Madison." "Everything!" "Madison still has you," I said. "Lily lost her father. You made sure of that long before he died." Victoria opened her mouth, closed it, opened it again. No words came out. I walked away, leaving her on the sidewalk, powerless and furious and finally understanding what it felt like to be on the other side of exclusion. That evening, Lily and I walked through the house together. It was empty now, echoing, filled with the ghosts of what might have been. "This was Daddy's house," Lily said softly. "It's your house now," I corrected. "Your grandparents wanted you to have it." She was quiet for a long time, then asked, "Do you think Daddy would be happy?" I thought about Marcus, weak, conflict avoidant, choosing ease over integrity. I thought about how he'd let Victoria push Lily away, how he'd sacrificed his daughter's happiness for his new wife's approval. "I think your grandparents would be," I said instead. "And that's what matters." We stood in the empty living room as the sun set through the windows, painting everything gold. "Can we keep Grandma's blanket here?" Lily asked. "We can keep whatever you want here." She nodded, serious. "Okay, then it's home. It's been 4 months since then." Lily and I moved into the house after I put my apartment up for rent. It's too big for 2 people, but we're growing into it. I heard through friends that Victoria and Madison moved 2 hours away. She tried to take Marcus's ashes, but Robert blocked that too. They're in a cemetery near his parents, where Lily can visit whenever she wants. Last week, Lily asked if she could invite Madison over. "She was mean to me," Lily said. "But I think maybe it was because Victoria made her be that way. Maybe she's different now. I didn't think Victoria would allow it. But I told Lily she could ask. The answer was no. Victoria's lawyer sent a formal letter requesting no contact. Lily cried, but not for long. She's learning what I learned years ago. Some people will never choose kindness, even when it's free. We planted flowers in the garden last weekend, the same kind Marcus's mother used to grow. Lily talks to them while she waters them, tells them about her day. Sometimes I hear her whisper, "Hi, Grandma. I'm taking care of things." And I think about Marcus's mother, how she must have known. Must have seen what her son was becoming and made sure Lily would be protected. Love doesn't always look like what you expect. Sometimes it looks like a trust fund and a house and a legal document that says, "You matter." No matter what anyone else says, you matter. So did I go too far or not far enough? I'll let you decide.